So good morning for me, everybody. Good afternoon for everybody else. Um, and good evening. We have someone from Sweden here. So we are truly an international class today. We are going to be looking, I know that last week I had mentioned that we would be looking at the elements, but today we're actually going to be looking at shapes. And I guess that's the professor's prerogative. So as always, we always start the class with sort of going through certain things because these are standalone classes. They do go in order, but they also stand alone. And so I always make sure that I go through these. This is specific to do with cleaning, cleansing, and programming, or charging and programming your crystals. I personally do not use water or salt. There are some crystals that really don't do well with water. Selenite is an example. And I had some on a windowsill and I overwatered a plant and I came back to get my piece of selenite and it was completely corroded and rusted. So I've learned firsthand. You can memorize the list if that works for you and you want to use water. But I don't. I just clean my crystals with smoke, incense, and I suppose you could even clean it if you had a bonfire. You could clean it in the smoke. You could clean it with any kind of smoke. It just cleans through it. Obviously, there's the intention for the crystal to be cleaned. Sound is an amazing cleansing tool. You can I have a Tibetan singing bowl, and when I'm using smaller crystals, say something like this size or smaller, I will put it inside of it, and then when you hit it, it'll go and it'll kind of fall down a little bit, and then you hit it again. Usually it takes 2 or 3 times and it'll ring out completely, like just keep going. If you have a bigger crystal, something like this is obviously not going to fit in the singing bowl. You can put it next to it and have the sound go through the stone and help clean it out that way. I do. There's breath work. Key here is that you need to be centered and grounded. You can't be distressed. You can't be stressed out because that could go into the stone. So you need to be grounded, well, solid, and then hold the stone. And then with your intention and your breath, you're cleaning out all the people and all the other programs that have been put to that stone, or all the other people that have touched it, so that it gets a fresh start. And you can use sunlight short term for some stones. Otherwise, other stones, it's okay. A lot of crystals do not like to be left in sunlight. They can fade. And that's, this is Athena. Say hi, everybody. Go. And then you can do moonlight as well. Be careful if you're taking them outside that they don't get dew on them. And then also what I do the most is selenite. And I'm a big selenite fan. And selenite is a self-cleansing and it cleans other stones. And in my rock collection, in my crystal collection, I put little pieces of selenite in many of I have drawers that have my different stones. And I put little pieces of selenite in them, so that I can, the stone can stay clean, and so that if I need to work with a specific stone, that it's already somewhat clean. Intention again is a huge part of it. I have a huge selenite log. It's about this big and about that big, and whenever I get new crystals or new things, I just plop it on it and plop it around it, and that to me has been the most, other than sound, I really think that smoke works well too, but I think that the selenite has been the one that has been my go-to for cleaning. I know, Susan, you mentioned that, and absolutely, selenite rocks. So those are some cleansing techniques that can be useful to know. Um, charging the stone and sort of reinvigorating it. It can be sunlight and moonlight charge the stone, and then intention. Intention is the biggest aspect. Even when you're putting the stone out into the moon, that intention, you're putting it with an intention for it to be charged, to be filled up, to be reconnected. And my earbuds just decided to not work. So hang on a second, folks, while I change these out. I'm hoping people can hear me. So hopefully people can hear.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Yes. Cool. And I can hear you guys. That's also important. Then programming is what you are hoping, what you are asking the crystal for. And I would put it for programming. Many times it is something that you touch or hold the crystal. You open up your energy center in your palms so that it connects to it and you connect to it at the same time. Side note, opening that energy center when you're working with crystals is really important because that's how you get a feel for them. You can do it by rubbing your hands together and then allowing them to settle, and you'll start to feel an energy field that builds up. And sorry, she seems to be interested today, so we're just going to have to deal with occasional shots of Athena. So your hands sort of, you can bounce them back and forth, you can move them back and forth. You'll start to see, you'll start to feel a fizzy or the air is denser than it was before. Then you will take that stone. Size does not matter, and size does not matter because it's connected to all of the other. It's connected to all the stones that are of the same kind. Now, size doesn't matter, but sometimes having a really big stone rocks. So I'm just going to say, so you put that stone into the palm of your hand where your energy center is, you hold it, and then you ask it, you say, please assist me with this, or please allow your energy to assist in a given situation. I was reading a book not too long ago, and they commanded the crystals the way they talked about it. And that is not how I work. I would never command a crystal to do something. I always ask, and I always try to remember when I'm done to thank it for its service so that it feels the value that I have for it. It also feels it. And so I try to do that. So that's the regular things that we go through every week. And my hands are nice and open, that's why my cat shows up. And then, so a little tiny bit of housekeeping. Most likely there will not be class next week. And I will make sure that it reflects correctly probably by Tuesday or Wednesday if we're going to have class on Sunday, or if it'll be the next Sunday, because I'm not sure on timing. And so that's just one housekeeping thing. And then somebody, I thought it was Andrea, but I was incorrect. Somebody had asked me about Phoenix stone. And I did some research, and then I bought a stone because I hadn't heard of it and it sounded pretty cool. So this is a Phoenix stone.
That was me.
It was you. Okay.
Yeah.
This is a Phoenix stone. And it's a combination
too that I wanted to add. I heard that it was called something like thinnerite, but I can't even find anything like that. So I don't know what the word.
Yeah, I did not see any technical, when I was doing the research for it, I didn't see any technical, like any of like sort of more chemically names. I did not see that. I also heard that it's called the compassion stone. Um, and so it is primarily quartz, and in it is chrysocolla, malachite, turquoise, and azurite. Those are the four other, so there's five total. Um, it's quite light in of its, like when you touch it, it's quite light. And hang on a sec. Today is just the day of disturbing. And let me just, my daughter's called 3 times. So please I'm so sorry, guys. This is not good. I don't like when this happens. All right, back to the Phoenix Stone. So there's also a countertop that they make that is also called the Phoenix Stone.
Right.
It's made of Phoenix stone. This is not the same thing.
Okay.
It is
That
not the same
clears
thing.
that up. Thank
Okay.
you.
Yes. And so I looked at it and I was like, no, that's man-made stuff. This is not man-made. And if you've been into crystals for a while, you will have noticed that so there's crystals that have been around forever. And then in the last 30 to 50 years, they're starting to find new crystals, new combinations of crystals, quantum quattro, K Syrah, and then this Phoenix stone, which is probably a trade name, is another one that is a newer find. And these newer find stones tend to be very high vibrational stones. This is, even though it's incredibly light, it is like, it's fizzy. It like fizzes in my hand. Reminds me of a bath bomb. When you put a bath bomb in the tub and it fizzes out, that's what that energy feels like. Some of the things that went with it, that were tied with it across a couple of different resources, were to do with, it's a very ground internalizing stone. So self-realization, self-regulation, motivation to look into the deeper aspects of things. It's a high vibrational stone. And it's so it is very much to take a look, internalizing. If you need things, if you need support, it's that kind of stone. So that's the housekeeping. I did the research. I found it. I hope
Sounds a
that
bit like
helps.
me.
So hopefully that helps, Susan.
But we still don't have a mineral name for it, right?
No, I did not find it. I looked at 7 or 8 different places. I could not find a mineral name for it. I will keep looking. But right now it's going by Phoenix Stone.
Okay.
And I've seen it for.
That's what I'm trying to get at, is what is its actual mineral name?
I don't know. I could only find the trade name. And
yeah.
No
How
one.
about Google?
I
tried,
Googled.
tried everything.
I Googled.
I'm a librarian. And so, yeah, I mean.
So it may be at this point, that it hasn't gotten to where they're still using the trade name across the board.
Yeah.
I did not look into how many different mines there were. I was just looking for the information about the stone and what it feels like. And it has a lovely feel. It's definitely worth a purchase. It's if you like me and you like buying stones, it's definitely worth it, because it has a lovely for a very high vibrational stone, it doesn't feel particularly, it doesn't have a huge punch to it. It's very soft and it's very smooth.
Well, see,
Um,
that's the weird thing, is that I had a piece, but it was called Chrysocolla. I had a piece from several years ago. And when I
with the
bought
others, they said it was chrysocolla.
yeah, and then all of a sudden this thing pops up from a local dealer and she's calling it Phoenix Stone. And
Yeah.
that's why I was like, what? Because I'd had a tower from maybe 5 years ago and it was called Chrysocolla.
Was it super light colored?
Yeah, it's the same
Okay.
stone.
So it has chrysocolla in it, and that might have
Right.
been the best that they could do at that time. And some places said that it had azurite in it, and some places didn't.
Mm-hmm.
I
It's
looked at
confusing.
mine. It's what?
It's confusing. I mean, as
Yes,
a
it is.
geology person, it's very confusing to me that somebody hasn't identified this.
Well, you might need to take care of that, Susan.
Somebody has to have done it. I mean, it's got to have a mineral.
Yeah,
Have
it's got to have it's got to have a mineral name, and it just may be overridden by. I just did some research on it. I didn't do too much, but anyway, that I wanted to.
Tanya,
Yes.
I have a quick question. What is the coloring of it? Is it like a teal or blue or green in the stone?
So it looks it is a very light green. I suppose mid to light green. You can see the chrysocolla and the malachite in it. I have not noticed. I got a little bag of it. I've noticed a little bit of turquoise, I think, but it could be light chrysocolla. I believe that the majority, besides quartz, that the majority of the stone is going to be chrysocolla and malachite with touches of azurite and turquoise. But it looks like this rough. I did not see any tumbled, but I did see a bunch of towers, and the towers are green with either kind of bluish or greenish spots in it. Not spots like K2 or something, but just parts that are greener or bluer, where you can see the malachite and the chrysocolla coming through. But it tends to be a light green.
Would it be related to the heart chakra?
Yes, it absolutely is related to the higher. It is to do with the higher heart chakra, and it's because it's a high vibrational stone. It's going to be part of that sort of self-realization. Is coming up from the higher centers that we have, and so yes, it is absolutely. It starts in the heart and then it goes up.
It's a beautiful stone.
Yes, I mean this one's really particularly.
Oh yeah, gorgeous piece. That is gorgeous.
And then this one's super cool because it's got some quartz points, little tiny quartz points. So yeah, it winked at me, so I bought it. That's my criteria for buying stones. If they wink, I buy them. It's probably not a good thing. That's why I have so many. All right. So today I'm going to move on.
Oh, one second. I have a quick question.
Yes.
Sorry, I just want to make sure you said the crystals in it are azurite, turquoise, chrysocolla, malachite, and quartz.
Yes.
Was there any others?
No, not that I saw.
Okay,
Nope.
thank you. I thought I missed one. Write them down.
So the azurite was the one that some places had it and some places did not. That was the one that was kind of like when they talked about the makeup of it. And the feel of it, I think it does have some azurite in it. That's my feeling only. That's my opinion, just from having felt it. But it's a lovely stone. It has a great feel to it. And if Susan, you've had one, you have one, that it has that. It's just a really soft, high energy, but it's very soft. So
it's hard to buy it.
It's what?
It's difficult to not buy it.
Obviously, I fell into that one.
It does call you.
Yes,
especially,
it does.
especially if you're a Pisces, which I am.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't get to that far. I just did a little bit of research. I didn't find out what sign it was ruled by. So
Well, the turquoise is, aligned with Pisces, so
mhm.
that speaks to me. And any green stones.
I'm an Aries and it spoke to me. So
Yeah.
I liked it. It had, like I said, I was like super, and it was just one of the, just found someone, boom, 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 and I got it in just a couple days. So it was super cool. All right, we're going to talk about shapes today. We are going to start with the two basic shapes that most stones come in, which are raw and tumbled. Now, this is a huge debate. I am going to tell you my opinion, and it really has to be with what you find works best for you. Some people consider raw to be more powerful than tumbled. I do not find that to be the case. I find that they're both connected to the veins of that crystal in the planet, and they both carry that energy. And so I do not feel a huge difference. I work more with tumbled stones because if you're going to touch people with them, or if you're going to work with them in your hand, tumbled stones are a little bit easier to work with, and they stay on people better. If you're putting them on them, the rough stones tend to, as I was trying to show, the rough stones, this one of course is staying. Of course it is staying. But it tends to, I find I work more with tumbled stones, but I do not have I have no opinion on the difference between raw and tumbled. Yeah, there's some controversy. People say that raw stones are stronger, and it may be stronger for you. And then you work according to what your instinct and to what works best for you. Anybody who's been in my class knows that that is my very firm belief. You work with how it works best for you. So then there's a whole bunch of shapes, and I'm just going to give a small definition. I'm not going to go into it too much, but I'm just going to give a bit of a way to think about it, and then you can do your own research. One of the best ways is to work with different shapes to get a feel for the different shapes. And if you have stones that are the same kind of stones in different shapes, then you can get a feel for that. I don't have a whole ton of stones in different like the same stone in different shapes, but I think that the best way is to get a feel for it. So the first thing we're going to look at is round. This is a black opal, and it is the thing about round is that it radiates evenly everywhere. It's round, so the energy that comes off of it is even all the way around. And it is supportive of oneness and wholeness, of that sort of keeping things whole. That's part of one of the things, if you're using one that's smaller, that you can hold, and it can sort of fill, it has that very much of being able to fill the space around where that stone is. And so when you have a stone put on when you put it on a stand, it's going to give that energy of that stone is going to be all around. It's not going to, then we're going to move on to points. Now, there's lots of different kinds of points. I did not find every shape that we will talk about. I'm going to do my best. So we get a point. Now, there's natural points that we have. These are good for grid work. We will be, in the future, we'll be working into grid work, but they are for, yes, like a crystal ball. you could, I mean, you could have it in clear quartz, and that would be then something that you might be able to look into and gaze into. That's not something that I'm trained in or that I do. But yes, like a crystal ball. These are crystal balls.
I have
And
a question. So
yes,
when I first got Mr. Eddie, my mail mentor out there, he told me I needed to get small ones so I could do this. Do you know why that is? Does that help and open your palm energy centers?
I would think that's more about and about worry, like a worry, like, and we'll talk about a worry stone, but more about being able to touch it over and over and have it moving around in your hand. That would be my inclination.
Yeah, because these ones
I
are my favorite. These are tiger's eye. I don't know if you guys can really see them good, but
I can't see them a little bit. But I think that the moving around allows for the energy to be moving within your hand and within your body as it goes through into your energy and around your energy, and that it becomes moving. And moving energy is different than static energy. And so, yeah, I could see that. I mean, we'll talk about worry stones in a few minutes. But yeah, that's what I would say. And that is, how you find it is what's most important. All right, so we're going to talk about an obelisk. Obelisk is a 4-sided statue. The Washington Monument is an obelisk. This is my banded agate obelisk, and then it has a point. And so this can be very much about gathering energy and bringing it up to a point. It can be very useful if you're working, if you want something to be very specific within a specific part of what you're working on. And or it can be like a lighthouse. Can have a bit of a lighthouse effect. Now, there's the 6-sided, like a wand. Yes, wands are a little bit different, and I will just touch on them. But like a wand, you can absolutely use any point, whether it's a point like this, a point like this, or a point like this. You can use those to tie together stones. If you're doing a grid, so it's like a net, you can tie them together, which is part of what you need to do when you do a grid. You can use any kind of point. Wands are really good for doing that. But these tend to gather energy, pull themselves up, and then come up and then radiate out this way. The same goes with, it's pretty similar with a tower. It provides a focal point. Both of them provide a focal point. This is the six-sided. This is what we see the most of. And a generator is a 6-sided one that tends to, and I could not find my beautiful tiger's eye generator this morning. It is,
here they can look at my picture.
Right. And so it's wider, so it gathers more from the bottom, and then it's able to do it to a point. And so it has a space and a base to generate information, energy, and then have it come out into wherever you need it to. Now, these are really great to put in places within a home for protection, for manifestation, for connection, lots of different reasons to do it. But they have you can mentally tie, you can put one kind in one corner and another kind in another corner, and you can connect them. That's a type of grid. But they do generate out, and sort of, we all know those, the things that have the sparklers not the sparklers, but they have the shiny things at the end. That's kind of how I see the energy coming from a point and from a tower, and also from a generator, and then also from an obelisk. Points are, like I said, they're a little bit different, and wands are the same, are going to be the same. They're much more used for, again, very specific work because they're drawing in energy, like a sprinkler. Yes. That's a great analogy. I'm going to steal that one. And so you have a point coming in. It's more of like these smaller ones, because you're mentally more focused, it is going to be more like a laser than, say, something that's sitting and generating energy and then having that energy come out. It's going to be more, the points are going to be more pinpoint, and they're more for either grid work or for tying things together. A double terminated point has points at two ends. I couldn't find a good one. This one has a sort of flaky point, and energy comes out of both ends of those stones. So if you want to tie two things together, if you want to have energy go both ways, then this is that a double terminated is the best way to have that. You can use that stone for that. Obviously, it all depends on your intention, the energy of the stone and the connection of the stone, and what it is connected to. And then that will then radiate out. This is Tibetan quartz. It's an extremely high vibrational stone. It's a little bit, we were talking about the Phoenix stone, which is a little bit softer. This one's a little bit punchy. And it, energy comes off of both ends. If your hands are open and if you focus on it, you can actually feel, well, I can feel the energy coming out as like a beam of light is what it feels like in this case with this stone. As we know, each crystal and each stone is as unique as each human. So it is, but that's what this one feels like. Now, an egg, I have two eggs. And an egg is, again, it's a bit like the round where it's gathering and it radiates out, but it does have a soft, gentle point that does have energy come out. So it has the energy like this, and then it comes out, but it's very, very gentle. It's not, you can, I think, and even physically, let me use the other stone so you can see it. Even physically, you can see the difference. If you're looking at these two stones, granted they're different kinds of stones, the energy that comes out of them is very, very different. And that's due to this being rounded, even though it's a bit pointier than the bottom, and then this being a point, and the energy coming out is very different. Talked about the generator. So we can talk about what Hannah, you'd mentioned was moving them around. I love worry stones. This is a worry stone, and it's like a baby palm stone. It fits many times. It fits in your thumb, and you can have it. It's great. It fits in your pocket. You can pull it out. I have one that I use quite often, which is of lipidite to help with my anxiety. But you can rub your thumb on it, and you can just connect into that stone and allow it to neutralize whatever worries, whatever stress, whatever anxiety is going through you. It allows it to, it helps neutralize that. And that's a worry stone. And it absorbs the prominent frequencies and stress that's within your body. You're intentionally, because you're rubbing it, they work amazingly. And so that's the worry stone. Now, palm stones, I have two different, these are, this is a palm stone, and this is also considered a palm stone. It's just a thinner palm stone. Palm stones are lovely because you can really hold them if you need to absorb that energy. And it allows it into your system so that if you need that particular kind of energy, I don't want this one right now. It fits in your palm and you can hold it. I prefer the smaller, my hands are smaller, obviously. So something like this, which is a palm stone, and it's going to be picking up energy, and it's not going to have those kind of points that the tower or the obelisk have. It's going to just be more of a rounded energy, transmuting frequency from it. Let's see where we are. Okay, so then a square. I had a square. Here's my square. A selenite palm stone would be brilliant. You hold on to that puppy when you're feeling like you need to think clearly, or you need to, you want to be able to focus in. I think I love selenite, and so absolutely, I think worry stones or selenite palm stones are brilliant. So square, it consolidates energy and anchors things. It's much more to do with you put it in a place where it can gather up energy, especially negative energy. Cubes are really good, or squares are really good at transmuting it and of changing that negative energy into something that is useful, or something that is positive, or just something that's not there. So squares are very good at that. And it can draw off negative energy and neutralize it. Yep, that's what my note said. So that's this cube. Now a cluster that I have 5,000 of them, but I didn't find one for today. A cluster is when you have a whole bunch of points coming off of a base. And so you're going to get, this is tourmaline. This square is tourmaline. I have a whole bunch. I have a lapis and sodalite. A lot of times if you order chakra stone kits, they'll come with square cubes, cube stones. And so they're, but this one is black tourmaline. Clusters. So clusters have a lot of points that go everywhere. And obviously we've talked about points sort of sending out energy. Circles sort of having that complete roundness that goes with it. Clusters tend to like have the energy kind of go like, and it goes off, and all the points are sending energy out. So it does go everywhere. The base allows for it to it radiates energy, and it also sucks in energy. Yes, like fireworks.
Yeah.
Absolutely, like fireworks. And that's the great thing about we've all got little, most of us have probably little clusters, amethyst clusters, and you can really have that feeling of it being able to cleanse and give you that self-motivation. But do worry stones and palm stones? I wasn't able to read that.
They said do worry stones and palm stones need to be cleansed after they're
Yes.
used, because they're absorbing negative energy from you.
Yes, absolutely. Also,
And
anytime.
here's my palm stone, if anyone wants to see. So they can be really big.
Yeah, I mean, like this Que Sera one I've got is really big. And then I've got a Quantum Quattro one, which is a smaller, it's sort of a palm stone. But it is absolutely, anytime you use stones, particularly, I mean, when I come home, I take my lipidite worry stone with me. I use it as needed. When I come home, I put it on my selenite to clean it so that I can use it the next day if I need to. And so when we work with stones, part of our responsibility to them is to keep them clean and not let them get too full of negative energy, or like when they're doing their job, what they do, part of our job is to make sure that they stay clean and that they're I was going to say protected, but that they're valued because they are of value. And the more that you value these stones of any kind, the more that they will give back to you. It is a communication that you build. And that's why when people say, what stone should I buy? And I'm always like, buy the one that winks at you. Don't worry about a specific stone. Buy the one that, like, whether you're online and you're looking and something kind of goes, I got your number, that might be the stone for you. If you go into a shop and you look at different stones and you find one that's a different kind of stone, that you went in thinking, I'm going to get this stone, and then you find another stone that fits, that feels, that vibes with you, then that's the stone to get. Obviously, whenever you get stones, whether it's online or whether it's in a store, it's advisable to clean them when you get home, because lots of people have touched them and you don't necessarily want to pick up on their journey or their struggles or whatever they're going through. And so you want to make sure that you clean them. Then we kind of go into, so we've done the cluster. The twin is when there's two, which is very much about drawing two people with 2 points together. That's the twin stones. I have a couple, but I couldn't find them this morning. And so that is, again, drawing the energy in, and then with 2 coming out. It's also many times a good stone if you're working to strengthen your commitment, or if you're strengthening the relationship between 2 people. Doesn't have to be romantic, but the relationship between 2 people, that having a twin stone can be really good to work with if you're doing that kind of work. Now, then there's lots of, and I forgot the pyramid. Pyramid is, again, it's got the wide base, so it has some of that generator type aspect to it. And it is, helps with balance and manifestation. And it also helps a lot with creativity and supporting creativity. So a pyramid is a great stone to have on your desk or on wherever you do your creative work, or your work, whether it's cross stitch or painting or writing or whatever. These pyramid stones can really help because they gather it in and then it comes to a point, but it is specific. That structure, the four structure, makes a difference. And it does help with creativity. Now, I have to show I forgot to show. This is my biggest, this is rose quartz. This is my biggest tower. I just had to show her off for a second. I skipped over her.
What kind of stone was the pyramid? That was really pretty. I like the color.
It's yellow adventuring.
Okay.
It's not yellow, but it's yellow adventuring. It's kind of orange. And then when you look at it, I don't know if you can see. Oh yeah, you can see a little bit of the sort of like the depth in it.
Yeah.
In here, that's sort of the sign of adventuring. Even green adventuring. I make bracelets, and so I do a lot. Even green adventuring has some of that matrix that you can see in it.
Cool.
And so this is what's called yellow adventuring, and it's really good for your solar plexus, which is also part of your creativity. So, which is why I have my little pyramid.
Nice.
Can you guys
Thank
see
you.
the baby tiny ones?
Oh, look at those. Oh, those are cute.
I got those from Katrina
Mm.
when we were at Pagan Pride, remember?
Mhm.
Look at my bag, guys.
Somebody.
I didn't know what
She's
ones you would need, so I just got them all that I had. These are all my personal ones.
Someone had a question. Who was that?
Oh, I was going to ask what other stones are good for creativity that would be extra
Citrine.
good.
Citrine. Malachite's also good for, even though malachite's very much a heart stone, it's good for creativity. Citrine is great for creativity. Amber. like there's 6,000 of them and they've all escaped me right now. Let me cook and we'll get back to it at towards the end. Orange selenite, probably orange and yellow selenite, the lighter colored the mango or the mango, I'm not sure what it's called. The lighter, so those orange going into orange into yellow, those colored stones are going to be really good for creativity.
Thank you.
Being able to express it's a different thing, and that's where you get more into the heart. That's why something like malachite can be good for, and sometimes malachite shows up as a solar plexus. It's very much a heart stone, but it allows for that expression of creativity. And so it's taking that, because it's not static. Our energy centers are not static. They don't stay in one place, and they move and they talk and they communicate. And as we go through our day, they transfer energy as needed. And so when you're needing to be creative, it can come from one place and then express itself in another place. So green stones are really good at abundance, and also about being able to share what's coming up in you, which is a type of abundance. Where was I? Okay. So there are other shapes that people have stones in. I have a moon selenite, and obviously this is going to be connected to the moon, because that's what its intention by the shape of it is. This is selenite, so that's already ruled by the moon. And so this stone sort of has the double moon, has a super moon kind of feel to it. And it is, so again, how things are cut attracts energy. It attracts when we look at something, and I have a bunch, so I have a dolomite starfish. And dolomite is one of the stones that is used a lot for cutting into little gnomes or frogs or mushrooms or whatever. Dolomite is one of the stones that they use a lot. And but whatever the sign and that symbol brings up in you is what you're going to connect to. If, for example, let's talk about hearts, because we all have an association that goes with hearts, and that's to do with love, and that's to do with our heart, and that's to do with compassion and family and empathy and all of those things. And so you can have a heart in a different kind of stone, and it's still going to be connected to the heart. Even if it's a tiger's eye or if it's a obsidian, it's still going to have that connection to the heart. So it's a combination of the frequency of the stone, the color, and then also the shape. Heart, obviously we have lots of connections to do with shapes and to do with the heart in terms of a lot of it's romantic love, but it doesn't have to be. It can be love between a parent and a child. It can be any kind of love that goes with that. Then that shape is what we connect into. So any, and these are the shapes that I talked about. Oh no, I forgot one. I'll do that one last. But you can have, they have little puppies and they have lots of different things. And that's going to be what you connect to it, what you bring to the party, and what your connection is to it. If you don't like dogs, then looking at a little dolomite dog may not be the best thing for you, because that's what your predisposition is. And so when you get shapes, then just remember that that's what it's what it brings to you, which is why people buy different. If you're a Scorpio and you see a scorpion, you probably would buy it. And if that's, I have a hawk, because the hawk is my animal guide. Turtle, And so
Yeah.
people have associations with them. They also have associations depending on the culture, depending on, oh, it's a kitty cat. Depending on, like, there's cultural definitions. Native Americans have certain meanings to different to totems, quote, and that's a closed practice. And so I use animal connection. Mine is a hawk. I have a connection with it. It does certain things for me. The South Americans say something different about what hawks mean than North Americans, or the Celts, or the Vikings, or in the Middle East. They all say different things. So it has to be, in the first place, it has to be what it connects to in you. That's got to be the first thing. And then do the research, find the other ones. You'll find trends. This is, if you've been in my class before, I'm all about finding the trends, because that's what radiates. That's really what's going to be the most genuine, is because it's coming across. That's the one frequency that everyone says it's protective. It's to do with compassion or empathy. It's to do with whatever. So then the other one, the last one that we're going to look at, is a geode. And again, this is going to be a little bit more like the round stone, where it has, this is an amethyst. This is a agate geode, and it has just a little bit of quartz on the inside. And so it's going to have this energy is going to radiate, and then the energy that's inside is going to overspill. Now,
Can you put it
when
into
you've
the
got,
camera a little bit more, please? Oh, thank you.
actually, that looks better than what I can see in person. So, now we've all seen those massive amethyst geode wings. I can't imagine the amount of power and energy that comes off of something like that. I've been by some big ones, and they knock me out because they're so strong. And so they have energy just going everywhere, because the points are going in lots of different directions. And so, it is to be aware of that, yeah. I got distracted. I distracted myself a little bit. So so geode is another shape. This is not something that we cut, other than we cut it open. I think we've all had a couple geodes that we hit with a hammer, and sometimes they had stuff in them and sometimes they didn't. And so, they have those points that go everywhere, and we just put a little piece of geode, and it can just sort of brighten up an area. If you have a place in your room that's kind of dark and not light, then you can put a geode there, and it might help lighten it up energetically. So we are going to look at 3 stones. Is everybody okay? So we're at the 12 o'clock mark. Is everybody okay to continue? Because I usually do an hour, so we're running a little bit behind. So
good.
I just want to,
Yes.
okay. I just want to make sure that people are, that I'm aware that we've hit our time frame, and then this is just a little bit longer today. So I'm gonna look at, I'll just look at 2 stones, and then I'll save the other 2. But so I was gonna look at amber, and this looks super dark, but it's actually, with the light behind it, you can see through it. Now, amber this is dark, this is Baltic amber, this is dark. There are ambers, I got 2 pieces out. This one's a little bit lighter. It goes with the solar plexus. It's super good for memory. and to do with the mind and making choices. But those choices that affect our base are the basic part of our life. It's considered good luck historically, and it was worn and has been worn historically by warriors for protection. I think that having blessed stones is common practice for warriors, and since amber is very light, it probably was something that they could put on them without weighing them down, so that they would be able to be at their best. It's very good. Amber is very good for balancing the positive and negative aspects, the yin yang of our body, and helps with, and I have found this one to be very true, is that it helps with healing negativity and negative blockages. It helps remove those emotional blockages. But it does need to be cleaned after use. And it is to always remember to clean your stones, but amber is one of those stones that really needs to be cleaned. I can feel that this must not have had a piece of selenite in the drawer, because I can feel that it needs to be cleaned. They need to be cleaned, and I will clean them after class. But it helps a lot with healing negativity and removing emotional blockages. So that's amber. Then, now, chalcopyrite, also known as peacock ore, which is how I learned it and what I will call it, because chalcopyrite is not in my memory. This is one of my favorite stones. I think every week I say that about a stone. Oh, this is one of my favorite stones. This is one of my favorite stones. It is, you can see that it's gold. Sometimes this one has the purple aspects to it. And it is, that's natural oxidation. That color shows up naturally. That is not a titanium wash. It is a natural oxidation that comes. And it looks a little bit like pyrite, and but it's very different than pyrite, and it's really good for perception, for seeing things as they are, not as you necessarily want them to be, which is super important in life, because sometimes we see things. If you need to examine a job or a friendship or a situation, this is a really good stone to work with if you need to see what the case is and not what you want it to be, not what you're hoping for it to be, but what it actually is. Obviously, that information will come into you. You will feel it, you will hear it, and then you can be able to do something with that. It's good for perception. It increases the flow of the electromagnetic body, of energy in our body. So it helps move things around. If things get kind of sticky or stuck, that this is a really good stone to kind of get things moving around, having those energy centers breathe and move within the body. Again, it's also good for removing blockages. And those can show up internally, but you can feel them physically. Sometimes you can have a blockage that occurs. It's from a memory, it's from an incident, but it might hurt your knee. And so you can use the stone to remove that blockage, because things that happen to us reside in our body. And this is a great stone for helping remove some of those things that get stagnant within our body. And it's also really good if you're working to improve your intuition or your psychic ability, or your empathic, getting in touch with your empathic ability. Some of these abilities that are not taught in school, should be, but are not. This stone is incredibly good for that. I have one on my dashboard. I have one in my purse. I probably should clean the ones on the dashboard. It's been a while. But they are, it's a very, it's a super strong stone without being heavy. And they're heavy, like physically they're kind of heavy, but it's a super strong stone without being too heavy. And it's beautiful. They're beautiful as anything. They've got a little bit of quartz in them sometimes. So yes, so those are the two stones. I was actually going to do a third. Should I do the third? What's the consensus? Silence.
Yes.
Go for it.
Awesome.
But someone in the chat asked, what was the name of that one again?
So it's called peacock ore, and I will spell it CHALOPYRITE, chalcopyrite. Also known as trade name as peacock ore, and that's what I learned. I've learned about peacock ore from when I was little, and I was also told that if you have a piece and you want to stay connected to someone, you can break. If you break it, you give half to them, and you keep half, and that's a connection between. They will want to be together, and so you each have half of it, and it has that connection. So that was something that I was taught when I was quite young. So the other stone I mentioned earlier, and we'll keep probably mentioning them as we look into some of these newer. There's newer finds. There's stones. This phoenix stone that we talk about in the beginning is probably one of them, which is why we need to find out what the mineral name is. But Susan's on that, so I'm not worried about that. And so this is Quantrum Quattro, and it is chrysocolla, smoky quartz, shukakite, and diopside, and there is malachite. And so it's quite different than the phoenix stone that we spoke about in the beginning. It's much, much heavier. I think that's the smoky quartz in it. And the energy from the phoenix stone is very easy and gentle. And this is it's a strong stone. It's a high vibrational stone, and it is, it's a pleasure to work with, but it makes you do the work. It really pulls you in to do that personal work, that shadow work, that energetic work. It pulls you in. The one thing that it really, the one thing I got today when I was pulling, and I use this is one of the stones that I carry often. And I was pulling it in today, is when we're doing work, especially if we're healing and working with other people, but even ourselves, is we must not judge. We must be very careful, because we can't, if we're healing someone and we have judgment about what they said or what they did, you've got to be able to move that aside, because you don't want to put that back into them. You don't want to put your judgment into them. This goes for yourself. If you find that you procrastinate, I'll speak for myself. I procrastinate. I put things off. And it's super easy for me to judge myself and not think that I'm as good as I need to be or as I could be because I procrastinate. And this is the kind of stone that doesn't let you get away with that. It you calls you out. And I like that about it. It has manifestation powers that comes from some of the malachite and the chrysocolla. And it's a newer stone, so it's not that they're not It's not that cheap and it's not that easy to find. I was lucky to find this beautiful palm stone that I use often. It helps with manifestation. It helps neutralize negativity that comes from the smoky quartz. And it heightens spiritual awareness. It is a higher vibrational stone, so it's working more with our higher heart, our throat, our third eye, and our crown. And it's working with these energy centers more than it is with the lower energy centers. It's not bad or good. It's just the structure of it, with the heart being the balance. And it also heals unresolved grief. Now, there are stones that are really good for grief that you know what it's from, like Apache tears and howlite are both really good for grieving the loss of someone, or the loss of a pet, or the loss of a house, or that kind of loss. Sometimes we have grief in our system that comes from incidents and things that we don't even remember, but that grief is there. And this heals that kind of grief. And to me, it is just an amazing stone. I don't know how much people can feel across the waves, but it's just an amazing stone. And it is so beautiful. And this one's got a nice big part of smoky quartz in it here. And it's got some beautiful chrysocolla here. And it is very complex. It's a very deep stone, but I think that's that high vibrational stone. Again, it's not a super soft stone. And sometimes you need to be in the right place to work with it. Sometimes I'll grab it and then I'll put it back on the selenite log because I'm like, nope, I'm not there today. And so it's an amazing stone. Some of these new stones that they're finding and that we're starting to see. Judy Hall, who was an amazing crystal healer and lecturer, she talks about that crystals are coming now because they are needed for this time, and they can help with the changes that seem to be coming. And I'm not putting anything on that at all because I don't know, but I see these these super high vibrational stones are coming, and they're really calling for me. They call me to do the work that I need to do to continue to grow, to continue to improve as a person. And so I think that these stones are really, all crystals are magical. All crystals are magical, but some of these higher vibrational stones are just wow. So that was the other stone that I wasn't sure if I was going to talk about today. So I talked about it, and that's Quantum Quattro. CUAN, Quantum, TUM, Quantum. I think there's an R in there somewhere. Quattro, as in four. CUARTO, Quattro. RO. And it's a newer find. And so you'll find some on Etsy. I found this one on Etsy. So yeah, so that is class today. We went over actually a whole ton. Yes, I know yes, thank you. Oh, is it double T? Yes, I know I'm behind on notes, and I will work on it, but I'm not going to stress about it right now. So I'm going to turn the recording off.
Did you just skip over skulls because you don't like them?
Oh, I didn't write it down, so I didn't really think about it. Again, that's going to be that's going to go into that realm of what it connects to for you. And if it is something that if you are trying to connect to someone who's passed, or that's something that you see that as a symbol of life, because some people see skulls as a symbol of life, then then that's what that means for you. I think it depends on how it works for each person. So no, it was not intentional in any way. I just didn't have it written down, and I don't have any.
Mhm. She doesn't like bones, guys. She doesn't like any kind of crystal bones, just for the record. Balls included.
So I'm going to wrap it up. I'm going to turn off the recording, and then we can spend a little bit of time chatting. And
Talk about your bracelets. Talk about your bracelets.
So I do crystal readings, I do crystal healings, and I sell crystal bracelets. I am Mystic Crystal Services is on Facebook. The website is under construction, and it is you're welcome to reach out to me. I do readings. I do crystal readings I have a bag of crystals, and I can do them over Zoom. And I do bracelets. I've made 2 of these bracelets. I didn't make the rest. I did make. And thank you very much, Brandy. I'm notoriously bad at promoting myself. So there, I did it. I'm going to turn off the recordings, and then we can have a chat, and I can get something to drink. All right, recording.